Good morning, everybody. Shift your mindset here. New week, new opportunities, and a new video. And it's my opinion, but today's video is about the two biggest mistakes Watchtower makes in this moment. One, the biggest mistake I think they are making, and it's not the most important one maybe, but the biggest mistake they are making is that they are not apologizing, that they don't take the blame, that they don't admit they are wrong. Why? Personally, I like it when someone is honest. And honesty is also vulnerability. Honesty is about empathy, about compassion. Someone can make a mistake, even to me or to you, but if someone is coming to you and say, hey, I want to talk to you about something. Remember we had this fight, or we had this argument, or I said this or you said that, and then I responded to you. But I just want to tell you, I love you and I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I was out of line. I'm sorry that I said something that was hurtful to you. That I apologize for my behavior, for my point of view. It was not necessary to say this to you. Maybe I was angry, whatever, but I'm sorry. The most beautiful, precious moments are moments like that. If someone messes up, if someone is doing something wrong, me included, it's the best thing you can do to apologize sincerely. And people see it in your eyes, in your whole face, in your body language. You don't have to cry, for instance, to show people that you're sorry, but people can feel it. It's energy. It's literally energy. The energy is shifting, and then the other person say, oh, don't worry, I still love you, let it go, we let it go, we bury it under the sand, whatever. I still love you, you're still my friend, you're still my partner, you're still my whatever. But just sincerely apologize. Because when someone doesn't apologize, you get on your toes. You get a little bit more that you think, oh, okay. And as time proceeds, there are gonna be more events that you think could go different. Would be nice if it was different. You're still apologizing if you do something wrong, but the other party isn't apologizing. So you create a split when time proceeds. And that's why I say it's one of the biggest problems of Watchtower. And that's the problem, that people start losing faith. That people are going out of the organization. Sorry, I apologize for that. So, when you change something, a prophecy, a teaching, or you suddenly allow people to do things like wearing beards and pants and stuff like that, what's wrong with apologizing that you saw it in a wrong way all the time? Because people will love you if you are vulnerable, if you just express your emotions honestly. It's about honesty. It's about being honest. And people are getting, how do you say that? I lost my words. People get defensive, but also irritated if things are changing, and things are changing now faster than ever, without an apology from the top level. A lot of conflicts can be avoided when someone just apologizes and they get that factor of a cuddly bear, that you're friendly, that you're warm, that you have interest in your people below you as a governing body. I'm talking about people on the governing body. But they insist on we're making no mistakes. It was just in a broadcast that I believe Jeffrey Winder or whatever, said we don't make mistakes. We don't admit mistakes. So for them, if someone doesn't admit mistakes, you as the person on the other side of them are not important enough, so they don't have to make an apology because you're not important to them. And that's what's happening in the Watchtower organization right now. And that's a big problem. It's not my problem, but I see it's a big problem. And it could be easily avoided when you just say, hey, people, listen, we're of the generation thing. Millions who live now will never die. It's now 2000, whatever, 5 or 10, I don't know which period it was that they changed it to the overlapping generation. Or that they predicted 1975. It was said on a convention, the tapes are there. And people are denying it, that it was ever said. People are denying that they encourage people to sell their houses, do whatever they want to do. Because Armageddon was coming, because the overlapping generation was coming. Now the overlapping generation came because they needed an excuse for their false teaching. Because it's a false teaching, but just admit it. Then you have more chance that people say, hey, that person is brave enough, is big enough of a man to apologize. And we all make mistakes. So I have no problem with this. I accept that new light, that new teaching, but don't cover it in new light, because it's not new light. You had it wrong. And if you are not admitting your fault, what guarantee do you give your followers that the new teaching, the new light, is something that is right and not wrong again? Because people get suspicious. And that's what's happening now. People get suspicious. Oh yes, yeah, 100 years we couldn't wear a beard, and now everyone is having a beard. Even that Santa Claus on the governing body has a beard. And they just wipe it away as if it's just a normal thing to just change things without an explanation, without a good excuse, without an apology. So that will break that whole organization apart. And that is what you're seeing now. And even with the people who are in that organization for 50 years, they're not gonna leave you because they have too much invested in that religion. Too much time, too much money, too much effort, too much of giving themselves, that they are gonna quit. But what you are getting is you get a congregation who is not happy. They are not happy. The older generation isn't happy about the beard thing, about the pants thing. They have to control much more now. The elders are busy with all that not important stuff. Oh, that sister, we have to talk about that, because that pants is not the pants that the governing body meant. That pants is they are yoga pants, it's see-through. Oh no, we have to do something about it. So They are micromanaging now an organization when it first was about selling magazines. They were printing magazines like crazy. Yeah, we have the most presses, biggest presses in the world and blah, blah, blah. Always that story I heard as a teenager. And now they are moving to a real estate company with free labor and all that stuff. So they are going into a new journey, a new road. And they're losing a lot of people because it's not about Jehovah's Witnesses were fanatics. They were pushing the foot between the door in the ministry. And now we have people in that organization who even want to go into ministry. They just tick a box. They are nowhere. We had 25 people on a meeting for the ministry on a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. If I go back, if I talk to someone now, there's only a few people, only some pioneers maybe. And they're not going into ministry. No, they're going to sit at the cards. Just that easy stuff. And that's what you get if you are not feeling what's going on in your organization. And people deserve an apology. People deserve to know the truth. People deserve for you to say as a governing body, listen, there's going a lot of things wrong. Also in this organization, like the Catholic Church, we want to apologize to all the victims of child abuse. It's just a statement you can easily put out into the world. But they are not want to be responsible, and they make everyone feel that they don't care. And even if you don't care about the victims, if you send out a message into the world that you're very sorry and that you do everything about it, what you are able to do to make it better, then people are also will be proud to be a member of that organization. But that whole proudness of being a Jehovah's Witness is just the conditioning from childhood on, that you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that, you have to do that, you have to do that. It's just the robotic way of raising indoctrinated children, what's saving them till now. And the other thing, the second thing, the biggest problem they have is activism or apostates, if you want to call it that way. Why? Because of the apostates, they are changing a lot lately. Because apostates are in different ways they are expressing their activism. And I'm not gonna judge you, I'm not gonna judge anyone, I'm not gonna make a list of this, and you will be a good apostate. Someone goes to the convention with a sign. It's not my thing. In the Netherlands, where I come from, there's a foundation against shunning, and they are going to Bethel in the Netherlands. And they are standing there with signs. They're gonna ring the doorbell. They wanna give Bethel a letter. They want Bethel to respond to that letter. They have some media exposure. They're standing at the gates, and it's all for nothing, but they're doing something. And it's not my kind of way, because I'm not into protesting and stuff like that. I'm also not into card bombing, what some people do, and go into a conversation and try to make Jehovah's Witnesses feel that they can't answer the questions and that they run away and stuff like that. That's also not my goal, but I don't judge about how other people feel the need to do something to create awareness to the whole situation. This is my way of doing it, just to give my opinion, just to take you on my journey, and that we learn from each other as a community of the people who are watching this, who are commenting on the videos, who want to have a conversation about something. If you have another problem you think Watchtower has at this moment, please let me know. But the apostates or the activism is the way that Watchtower is changing a lot of things. Because we had the PID department, Public Information Department, and they were on a love bombing spree that Robert Hendricks, that sleazy guy who's fired now for a while already, he was going to news stations and was on some television, stuff like in America, just to praise how good Jehovah's Witnesses are, how loving they are, that shunning isn't that a big deal. And with all his word salad, it was not about that we shun people and we still have contact with our family members and stuff like that. But it was not true. So they tried it that way, but I think the PID department, I don't hear anything about them now at the moment. There are also no videos leaked or whatever from that department. So I think they downsized it completely because it was not working in their favor. So I know there are a lot of battleites scanning YouTube videos, watching YouTube videos, and they are gonna report to the governing body or committee or whatever, and then they're gonna change some things. And they have changed a lot. And activism is responsible for a lot of JWs to wake up. And I also want to give some props or some compliments to the PIMOs around here, because apostates are people mostly who are out of the organization and who take a stance against the organization, and they do something to talk about things, what's going on in Watchtower, and give their view and their honest review on it, so you can decide for yourself what's true and what's not true. You don't hear only the side of the Watchtower, but also a neutral side. But also those guys and girls who are PIMO, there are, in my time in the JWs, I didn't know any PIMO. I didn't know someone who was already mentally out, but only physically in. And it was something you didn't talk about. But now I hear so many people who are physically in the organization for their good reasons, but are mentally already out. And for some reason they have to stay in that organization. And whatever reason they have, I don't judge that reason, because I think they have a good reason to stay in that organization. But they are also a powerful force, because they are still in contact with people around them who are hardcore JWs. Let's put it that way. And with their way of speaking and don't revealing who they really are and what they are thinking, because they have to be careful, of course, they can also plant a little seed in the JWs that maybe got to blossom in a few months, in a few years. Maybe they just, hey, did you know about that article about, did you know that in the United States there are now elders convicted of child abuse? No. And maybe they start something in another person they start a critical thinking process, or they start that person is gonna look further than only the borders Watchtower gave them. So if you talk about apostates and activism, I think there are PIMOs, people who are physically and mentally out, who are just as important as anyone else, maybe even more important than what I can do from the outside. I can speak freely to all of you. They can't, because they are still inside the organization. So that's my advantage. But their advantage is they have still the connections in the organizations and maybe in that whole country. And they are also a big help for people to wake up. And not waking up early in the morning, but to wake up for what are we doing with our lives, and what am I doing? Why am I just swallowing all those teachings like so easy? When are you gonna start thinking for yourself? And that something feels strange and you don't know where it's coming from, but you get that gut feeling that something is wrong. And then if you go and examine it, if you do your research, if you start your critical thinking, hey, what's the end game here? What game is the governing body playing at the moment? It's damage control, because of all those YouTube channels, all those websites, all those all that free information that is available for people around the world. Even in Africa, they have internet now. So they can research things, so people hear things. And Watchtower is only doing damage control based on what's happening in the world of activism. Also, from the governments, they also have that problem. They're lobbying with the governments. While they say they are neutral, they are proactively reaching out to government members, to certain parties, to speak about the Jehovah's Witnesses, so the governments are still allowing them to preach and to do whatever they want. But how is that possible if you want to stay neutral? You are not allowed to vote, but you are proactively going to members of governments to tell about how Jehovah's Witnesses are such loving, friendly, and peaceful people. But they have a problem with the Vikings. Good Netflix series, by the way. Vikings. But the Vikings are not stupid. And it's gonna be other governments who are asking questions now. In the Netherlands, there are some questions asked. Denmark is busy with cases because Norway opened a can of worms in the organization. And people inside the GW religion, I'm still baffled by the numbers of people what don't know what's going around, what's happening around them. They don't see that news or article or website. They're still, oh no, that's apostate. But if government documents, you can just Google it, you can just download it. It's not altered by people. It's not changed. The words are not changed by apostates. It's just hard facts. And you have to do your research, and then you will be fine. You don't have to feel guilty for doing research. Why aren't you allowed to research or to examine what is being said about your organization? If you are so firmly believing what you are believing. No one can take that belief from you. Another person doesn't have any authority over what I'm thinking. I'm only a prisoner of another person if I let him dictate what I have to believe. Nobody can dictate what I have to believe. My mind is free, is mine. No one can change that. No one has an authority over what I'm thinking. So let that sink in, JWs. So we had never an apology from the governing body. It's one of the biggest problems, I think. And the whole activism apostate thing, that people are now being surrounded by that many channels, websites, government documents, CSA cases in the media, that people inside the JW religion think, hey, hold on a moment, this is not how it should go right now. So is Jehovah protecting his organization? Because I always learned every religion gets attacked, and the last one will be the Jehovah Witnesses. Other religions don't get attacked that much at the moment as the Jehovah Witnesses. So maybe Jehovah is cleaning his house. Maybe the whole organization has to disappear because it has nothing to do with what he was intentionally doing when he started with his son on earth. Maybe we don't need a governing body. Maybe we don't need a real estate company. Jehovah isn't, if Jehovah is true, we can have different opinions. But if he is true, why is he blessing a real estate company? Jehovah can make his own money from the stones in the street if he wants to. So why is he blessing some old guys in the United States with a real estate company who aren't humble enough to even apologize to people who are devoting their whole lives for that organization, who are willing to give their physical life for that organization, to be sent to prison for that organization, to give all their savings to that organization. And still, those men in the governing body are too proud to even apologize to sincere people. Because I believe the sincerity of a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, that they are really believing what they are believing and that they have the best intentions. But there are a lot of rotten apples in that organization, starting with the governing body all the way to the elders and the ministerial servants, who are abusing their power to suppress the people below them. So this was my take on the whole situation about Jehovah's Witnesses and their biggest problems. Let me know in the comments if you see another big problem, maybe a suggestion for another video we can make. I'm happy to see it. I wish you guys all the best today. If you have to work, if you are free, whatever you do, do it with a lot of fun. Guys, thank you. See you next time on this episode.